Hey, Adam,
Jeez, why do you think they called bumpers, Gary?
I don't know.
Because they come at the beginning, at the end, like bumpers.
Alex, you're a marketing guy. Do you like that design behind Paul? Does that logo thing look pretty cool to you?
Hey, I forgot to hit the record button.
That's really professional, isn't it?
Well, this is a professional podcast.
I met her in a parking lot and was handed 2 little Yorkies. And the only person I knew that knew Yorkies was Paul. So I called Paul. I said, Paul.
Sweet Talk is a weekly 20-minute podcast brought to you by the Continuing Education and Workforce Training Division of Idaho State University's College of Technology. Find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and SoundCloud, and subscribe today. Now it's time to get started with Sweet Talk.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sweet Talk, our weekly podcast here at Idaho State University's Continuing Education and Workforce Training. I'm Paul Dickey. I'm the apprenticeship coordinator here at Sweet. And as always, joining me is our interim director, Raylan Price. Hi, Raylan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Paul. It's a beautiful Friday here in Idaho and just looking forward to May, the month of May. It's a happy time.
Can you believe it's May 2nd?
Yeah,
can you believe it's May 2nd already?
No, can't believe it. And May's going to fly. May will fly. So with us, we also have Angie Wilhelm, our marketing coordinator. Welcome, Angie. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. For those of you who are not with us today, it's nice and shiny and sunny outside. Today we have Paul Beatty and Darren Jernigan with us. They are both wilderness physical therapy instructors, and they are here to tell us a little bit more about wilderness physical therapy, the emerging field of wilderness PT. Welcome, Paul and Darren. Can you take a minute to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit more about your backgrounds?
Sure, I'll go first. Hi, I'm Paul Beatty, and I am currently a professor emeritus at the University of South Carolina, which is located in beautiful Columbia, South Carolina, where it's already getting hot and sultry. So it would be nice to be in Idaho today, where it's going to be a little bit nicer. But no, we're delighted to be here and have the opportunity to join you guys today. And basically, my thing is that I am a wilderness EMT and also a physical therapist with many years of training, and particularly in orthopedic area and musculoskeletal and sports medicine. And several years ago, myself and my colleague Darren Jernigan, whom you'll meet shortly, and another colleague, Darren Hearn, we got together as physical therapists and as wilderness EMTs and decided to try to move forward with the idea of creating a field of wilderness physical therapy, in which physical therapists would go with their unique skill sets and background into remote areas to work in various areas to help out to rehabilitate people who are injured, and also to help out in emergency medical circumstances. We've been together. Our company is known as Wilderness Physical Therapy Educators, and we'll show you the link to our website shortly. And over the last 3 years, we've had multiple peer-reviewed publications in big journals. We've had lots and lots of presentations, including coming out every year to Pocatello for the fantastic EMS conference, which is given in February. And if you haven't been there yet, you need to be there because it's remarkable. And I always learn a ton of stuff and a lot of great people to work with. We've also done a lot of national conferences, and we have set up a program with Sweet in which we have an online training available for individuals, and we also have in-person training. People who are physical therapists who complete that entire training become eligible to receive a physical therapy wilderness first responder certification. So things have been going great, and I don't want to hog this too much, so I'll turn it over to Darren Jernigan, our dear colleague and friend.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Darren Jernigan, and I am a clinical professor at Idaho State University. I'm also a co-chair in our health occupations department. I am a physical therapist, just like Paul. and I'm a wilderness EMT. Paul he stole my background image. I was also a Jenny Lake climbing ranger, and the lake behind Paul is Jenny Lake in Grand Teton National Park. And I was an EMS provider and rescue specialist there for 20 summer seasons from 1998 to 2017. And I'm currently working with Paul and Darren Hearn on advancing wilderness physical therapy and just the concept of it. And as a physical therapist and as a rescue ranger in Grand Teton National Park, the idea of integrating physical therapy into EMS really, in my mind, that's when it really emerged for me. And I was able to share that experience with Paul and Darren. And I'm anxious to be part of the conversation today. I do hope that we get to spend some time and talk about a hands-on course that we just completed in South Carolina that was really successful, and an upcoming hands-on course that we're working with in partnership with SWEET that's going to happen this fall. And so it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for having me. And I'll turn it back over to our host.
Good. Well, thank you guys for the background. It's so interesting. I can remember that first, the first EMC conference that I met Paul and Darren and Karen, and just talking about the possibilities of this thing. And I was like, yeah, sounds great. Let's go for it. But I didn't really, I guess I didn't know where it would go.
Right.
Right. I didn't know if it would really happen or what it would look like. And it's been really exciting to see what has happened here in the last few years and what you guys have done with this. So maybe just from my perspective, what made you think that this was a needed field? What brought you to this? What experiences have you had that you thought, man, more PTs need to have this kind of a background?
I'll let you take it, Paul, to start.
I guess my personal journey was, I was in the military many, many years ago during the Vietnam War, and then got out, became a PT, and was always interested in the sort of unique applications of what we do in remote and austere environments. And, kind of worked my way through how the traditional, teaching hospital kind of and university based, places where I practiced and taught and everything. But always had this sort of yearning to get in the backcountry. Basically, I always tell people I work to support my backpacking habit. And, we would go through the years and work with youth groups and with other groups, and would run into different things in the backcountry that a PT skills would really help. And these could range from, medical emergencies to something as small as blisters or tendonitis or shin splints or things like that. And so we always just kind of work with this. Then when I stepped away from full-time teaching in 2021, I wrote a paper for a journal, and Darren Jernigan saw that. He contacted me. We talked on the phone. We had not met prior, but after about 25 minutes on the phone, we were like best friends for life. And it was just amazing. And we kind of just said, why not? Why not go ahead and push the envelope a little bit? We added our other colleague, Darren Hearn, who's an active duty military officer who has done a lot of deployments to places like Somalia and the Middle East and Jordan and Syria and things where they had to work in some really tough situations as PTs in Afghanistan, etc. And we just sat down and we said, let's make this happen. And what we can do is we can make this happen as a partnership with Idaho State University. And we met Paul Dickey and Megan and Angie and Raylin and everyone. And we all hit it off, and we all just had this common bond, and it was great. And this common idea that, this is something really cool. And we can make it happen. It's going to be hard and it's going to take creativity and there'll be some bumps, but we can do it. And so we started to put together an idea for a curriculum. And at that point, we also decided that we would shoot a movie on site in Idaho, with Paul Dickey being our director and producer and me and everybody. And so I wrote a script, and sure enough, we got all our stuff. We got our film crew, and everybody went out into the backcountry, and we filmed this movie that was really fun. And it kind of illustrated what we want to do. And essentially, it was people out hiking. Something bad happened. We helped a person. The person had an unexpected medical event. We were able to help him and head that off, and it all worked out. So from that, we again, working closely with ISU, we put together a long series of PowerPoint and video presentations, and have kind of sprung forth from that. And so that's been our key goal. And then as Darren was saying, we've also have this in-person course, which is an amazing thing because we get like-minded people together camping out in a backcountry area, and the vibe is fantastic. And we're out there being in a place where we want to be. And we do scenario-based training using Moulage and different scripts and stuff that people have as a patient. And people learn and they grow together, and it's a wonderful for fellowship and for pushing forward. And so that's kind of how the whole thing happened. We just it was sort of a why not, And it's been really successful. We're absolutely grateful and excited, and with all the help we've had. DJ, did you want to add some stuff to that?
Well, yeah. It is really interesting and how serendipitous life can be if you let it be. Paul ended up on the cover of our national magazine and was posing the question in the magazine, wilderness physical therapy. And at that point in time, I was still was a recently retired rescue ranger in Grand Teton, as I mentioned before. And I was like, that's the life that I led. And in fact, if you look at the mountains behind Paul, I did EMS. I did hundreds of EMS and search and rescue missions where I integrated physical therapy techniques in what I was doing as an EMS provider. And so I was like, Paul, I've been doing this for 20 years. And so you've kind of I've always imagined it as being a thing, but it wasn't until he really brought it to the forefront that I realized there are other people like me that could get hired like I was, but get hired to be a physical therapist EMS provider. And so that's the story of kind of how it's evolved, how we've tried to create trainings to incorporate these two genres of medicine to be a force multiplier healthcare provider in austere environments. And so, yeah, what a long, strange trip it's been, but it's been really cool.
It's fascinating to me because when you think of a physical therapist and you go have physical therapy, it's in a clinical type of a setting, with machines and, rehabilitation. And so this is just so awesome to be able to marry that training with the wilderness medicine and EMS and really be able to help people, like you said, in that austere environment. Awesome.
Yeah, it is. I mean, so Paul and his wife, Karen, have been actually working as volunteers and volunteer physical therapists and EMS providers in Grand Teton the last, I think, 3 summers.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Paul and Karen, this speaks to kind of the paradigm that you just described, Raylyn, where they've actually taken the clinic to people working in the field, working in the wilderness that you see behind Paul, and keeping people on the job and working as optimally as they can with that kind of support. So, because it's complex for folks that have some sort of nagging injury, especially low back pain, tendonitis, to go to town, to get therapy. It's a really long, drawn out thing. People don't like missing work. They don't like, all those different things. I'll let Paul talk to it some, but the I guess the gist of this is also bathing people in nature, right? While you're doing physical therapy interventions, that's a whole nother world that's opening up, and we're kind of on the tip of it, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's some exciting research that's come out that has shown that there's a certain tranquility and a certain sort of healing effect that nature has. And that, I mean, things that you wouldn't think of, for example, individuals with chronic neurologic conditions, MS, Parkinson's, things like that, who are exercising in backcountry environments, particularly if they can get a little bit of elevation involved, are showing some amazing improvements. And for people we mostly take care of people with short-term problems that'll need a few tweaks and then they're squared away because they're already active and in the outdoors. But if you take sort of another end and you look at individuals with chronic disease, and they're working out there in their house or they're at a clinic somewhere that's inside and it has a certain environment, a certain vibe. But if you get that person outside, there's a certain wellness thing that comes over people when they're in the woods environment. And so the whole idea of wilderness as an area to provide care, not just for acute EMS, backcountry folks, but for others, is really starting to take a hold. We have some colleagues in California that are doing some amazing stuff, and they're doing horseback, hippotherapy, having people on horseback to relearn how to balance and how to regain muscle control and things like that, hiking, all that. So that's a whole sort of spin-off. Again, our main focus has been more with sort of the wilderness medicine, acute, and then the nagging injuries, that type of a thing. But it's been remarkable. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming up.
Well, and that's one of the questions I had. What kind of response have you got to presenting these classes available for the audience? And what is the audience for these classes?
Okay. Sure. I'll talk about that and I'll let DJ also come in on that a bit. When you go to our website, we have, I think, subscribers from 23 different countries now. So we're getting a lot of folks, particularly from Northern Europe and also the Australia area. We have many people that have expressed interest. I mean, it's been overwhelming. I get tons of emails all the time for people, and it's interesting because it's a lot of sort of recent grads and students, but also a lot of mid-career people, a lot of retired individuals who want to go and try different things. And we've got just this long list of people that we've had great interactions with who, now that they're retired and they're maybe 60 years old and they're working for the Forest Service and they're doing amazing things, or people are doing things such as working on cruises, which is in a way, I mean, it's pretty civilized, but it's also a wilderness austere environment. Working on fire line, which is a huge deal, particularly out west, and many of the other environments that are coming up. So we're getting this wide array. And in terms of the physical therapy end of things, it's not just the PT for the musculoskeletal injuries, but it's also taking care of people with respiratory problems who need breathing support and exercises, individuals with neurologic impairment, as I mentioned before, people recovering from surgery, a very long list, pediatrics, elderly folks, across the board. So it's been amazing in terms of how many people have been reaching out from us. Our association, American Physical Therapy Association, which is the biggest association representing PTs, and it's enormous. They are very much in our corner and supporting us, and as we look to move forward with things, and we've been presenting at their conferences. DJ, did you want to add on that?
Well, yeah, I can expand just a little bit.
Yeah.
So the idea of, potentially providing physical therapy in an austere environment, much like I said, where Paul and Karen have gone out and actually done physical therapy, for example, with the trail crew that are staked out, miles in the backcountry doing work. The thing is if you're going to be a physical therapist in that environment, should something else happen, some other injury to someone, you have to be able to take care of that as well from an EMS perspective. If you're going to take groups of people out to do physical therapy, let's say Parkinson's patients, there's a movement across the nation where rock climbing, the act of rock climbing, is really therapeutic for people with Parkinson's. Well, if as a physical therapist, you were going to take someone out there and let's say someone got injured somehow, somebody tripped and fell, or, things are going to happen. Not only having the ability to help someone engage in the therapeutic activity, but be there as, someone that can actually deal with and handle an emergency. That's really what we're talking about here, is integrating these two worlds to be this, like I said, this force multiplier, this value added professional. And think about it. Paul mentioned on a cruise. Well, what about a whitewater rafting trip that's 18 days and you're going down, the Grand Canyon? Or you're on an extended trek. Let's say you're, circumnavigating like a big mountain in Nepal or Tibet. And, so you could see where companies would want to hire someone like us that has a wide range of skill sets to keep people going as you're doing the activity in an austere environment. I hope that that paints a wider picture.
So I'm going to jump in real quick. We are about out of time. So as we wrap up, I'd really like to give you guys an opportunity to talk just a bit about the class for a couple of minutes and how people can sign up for the class before we roll out and end our podcast.
Yeah, the course, the continuing education opportunities for professionals, all of that gamut.
Sure. Well, the course that we have right now, we're calling it level 1. The accumulation, it's a 40-hour course that is a combination of online for 20 hours and in person for 20 hours, which is basically a weekend course. And this creates a 40-hour thing. Individuals will receive CEU credits if they're physical therapists, which is needed for licensure. So they're similar to CME credits. And also upon completion of the entire course, as I said before, is a Wilderness First Responder Physical Therapy certification. The online course is divided into 4 modules, each of which has its own series of lectures and it has its own quiz that you would take to get credit for that. And these modules can be taken in isolation. They don't have to all be taken simultaneously or in order, but they can be taken in isolation if somebody just wants to try out something or if they want to just get a few CEUs, for example. And basically the modules are an introductory area in which we talk a lot about scene safety and about a lot of the medical, legal, and emergency things, and just a lot of the vibe. A big part of our course is not just the wilderness medicine guidelines, which are critically important and are the core of what we teach, but a lot of it is how you act, what to expect, how to expect the unexpected, what's the vibe going to be, what are things to look for that you might not be readily thinking about. When you think of the experience in people like DJ and Darren and to a lesser degree myself and Karen, we've got a lot of background out there and have had lots of different things happen. And you want to figure ways to prevent bad things from going sideways and how you can be careful with your safety, with your thinking ahead, with creating plans, with leadership and all that. The other courses online are one on trauma. We have one on environment in which we talk about heat illness, cold, etc. And then finally one on medicine. And then the in-person course, the next one will be coming up in Pocatello on 27 through 29, is that correct? Make sure I have the right date on that. And that will be, we're going to be in Mink Creek Camp area, which is in the mountains outside of Pocatello. It's a gorgeous, beautiful place. And it will be on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in which we'll all get together. We're going to have somewhere between 20 and 30 participants. So it will be a small group. We'll have 4 instructors on scene. So it'll be a small group learning based type of a situation. Should be a lot of fun. And we'll do the whole thing outside. We'll go into different scenarios and practice different things in terms of evaluating patients, treating patients, and evacuating patients. And we're really fired up. This will be our 3rd in-person course. The first 2 have been wildly successful. We've gotten great feedback from people. And we really hope that you all can join us for this. It's going to be on the SWEET website. DJ, did you want to add more about the course?
Real quickly, yes. So we really do want to try to get as many participants as possible. So we want to cast this podcast out to generate some interest. We have free camping for participants. The cost of the course is roughly, the package of the course is about $750. So it's quite economical, especially for the number of CEUs you get, which are 40. And so you get to come out and you get to camp a couple of nights, save some money, make some friends. It's a big group campsite. It's the Mink Creek group campsite. And it's a great access point to some outdoor, scenarios that we're going to put on. And we're really, really excited about it.
So I'd like to just add to that. Last year, I was there when they were doing their in-person outdoor training session. And I can tell you right now, being an outsider looking on, I was doing some filming for them. The enthusiasm that those students had by the time they finished, I mean, it was 2 days. Everyone was tired and done, but they were so enthusiastic about the learning that had taken place. And they thought that what they had got was so valuable. I think I didn't have one student that, was disappointed in the experience that they got. They were all so enthralled with everything that they had learned over that weekend. So being an outsider, just watching that, I was very, impressed by what was going on.
I have to add, you have not only top-notch presenters, instructors for this course, they have life experiences. This course is professional. This is not just a fly-by-night course. They have done an amazing job putting both the online portion together and the in-person, and what amazing what you've done.
Thank you, Red Lynn.
Yes, and really just their experience and knowledge is amazing. So,
and then if you would like to sign up for the class, you can find that class at cetrain.isu.edu and just search for Wilderness Physical Therapy. There are several ways. We do have participants from all over the country. You can get to Pocatello. We do have a regional airport right here, as well as a larger airport about 2.5 hours away in Salt Lake. There are buses that run from Pocatello to the airport quite frequently. So you can either fly into Pocatello or into Salt Lake with easy access to this particular area. And again, you can find that at cetrain.isu.edu for the courses. And it's, again, Wilderness Physical Therapy.
Thank you.
I would encourage everyone to come to our website that we have for Wilderness PT educators. And that's wildernesspted.com, wildernesspted.com. And if you go to that, you'll see a whole lot of the videos that have been put together by Paul and Megan and others that will help you to get a little bit more of a feeling, I think, of what we're doing. And we're very proud of it. And we are thrilled and grateful to be working with the great people at ISU. It's been fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, you guys, for your support.
So Hey guys, thank you so much for being on today and giving us some information. I hope to have you on again before the actual, live class again, so that we can give them maybe talk about what that whole experience is like. But hey, if you guys out there would like to check to see what we have for other offerings, you can visit our website. Same website Angie's already given is the cetrain.isu.edu. You can email us at cetrain@isu.edu. And if you want to give us a call, that's 208-282-3372. And this podcast is how we reach out to the community and talk about local events, classes like this that we have going on. And we would love it if you enjoy this podcast to like, share, subscribe, you know the drill. And as always, be careful out there.